spiritual, and the emotional impact, which we cannot calculate the cost of, but which we know is significant for our families and everyone in Minnesota who needs winter. And so we are so grateful to the governor and the administration for connecting us to these resources. We want to be here when winter returns, and we want to be able to welcome winter back, and because of resources like this and opportunities like this, we will be able to. So thank you, Governor, for being with us today and for these opportunities.
Thanks, Claire. Well, thank you to Karen Lopet for having us out here. It is appropriate. We're all standing here and it's feeling hot in the sun. And I was saying the mixed feelings we have about this is it's nice to have warm weather, but we as Minnesotans know this is not normal, and it is catastrophic economically. And I would add, I'm going to associate myself with those remarks. It's a big part of who we are with winter. It identifies with us as Minnesotans, and it's absolutely critical. So when you're looking, and you're going to hear from some of these folks, whether it's here providing these great opportunities, connections, the programming we do with outdoor activities, or folks who make a living removing snow, doing the things that allow them to be able to create the jobs, all of those things were impacted. And this is very similar to whether we have a drought with farming, whether we have flooding, whether we have a tornado. It's the weather's economic impact. And what we always try and do is, again, this isn't a dog-eat-dog world where the invisible hand of commerce just wipes people away or whatever. That has catastrophic effects. And there's things that we can do to lessen that impact. And one of the things is I want to say thank you to the Small Business Administration. We mentioned this when we were out in D.C. with National Governors Association with some of my colleagues. We're seeing this maybe not so much in the West now where they started to get their snow, but for a lot of us, we're experiencing the same impacts. And Minnesota has a big economy around winter sports, winter outdoor activities, winter things like selling ice houses and ATVs and all of the things that go with it. So we wanted to take a time today to highlight what we can do on this to ease some of that impact, some of these low interest or no interest loans, some of the bridge funding, whatever, and think about, again, in the short run, what we want to do to help these businesses and the workforce. But I think we're going to have to come to the realization, which we have, is we're going to have to start moving in a direction where this becomes more normal rather than the abnormal that we're seeing. Chances are over the next 10 years, we may see 3-4 years like this more often. And that's going to change how we think about and how we plan for that future. So I'm grateful to the folks who are here making this effort, grateful for the Small Business Administration, but I think this message to Minnesotans is that we stand together in these tough times. We hope this makes a difference, especially for these smallest of businesses that are really impacted. You can hear here an impact of $1 million on this organization can be catastrophic. We've got a new focus on dealing with both Explore Minnesota and Explore Minnesota as far as an economy. We've got a great executive director in Lauren Bennett McGinty, and I'd like to have her talk a little bit about what we hope that this program does. Lauren?
So you've heard that winter is a part of us here in Minnesota, and Explore Minnesota, we absolutely believe in that, and every single year we've invested more money into winter marketing and really want to own outdoor recreation, especially as it comes to winter time. And this year, ironically, was the year that we put 24% into winter marketing, and unfortunately we didn't really have a winter to market. And I think that that is significant and it's really important, and you'll hear from these business owners about exactly how that's impacted their business. But what I really want to point out is that so many of these folks plan every year for events throughout the state, or resorts are planning for people to come and go snowmobiling or ice fishing. And unfortunately this year a lot of those things had to be canceled. And as a business owner or an event planner, you plan for a lot of things in winter. It's usually a blizzard or an ice storm, but it's pretty rare that you plan for none of those things and you plan for heat instead. And unfortunately this year we saw significant impacts. In January, the entire state's lodging occupancy was down 7%, and overall the short-term rental occupancy was down 14%. So it tells you that people were not getting out as much and seeing the rest of the state. And as you'll hear today, we're hearing from a lot of different kinds of businesses. So lack of snow isn't just somebody not being able to go snowmobiling or skiing. It's somebody not being able to plow. It's somebody not being able to sell equipment because nobody's going skiing. So it's really a trickle trickle-down effect that impacts small businesses in every single corner of the state. So it's important that these loans are available to people so that, like Claire said, they can see next winter. And we want to keep our small businesses, whether they're in tourism or they're in tourism-adjacent industries, we want to keep them in business, and we want to ensure that our neighbors and our communities thrive when these businesses thrive. So with that, and into the more details of the SBA loan, I'm going to introduce Brian from the SBA.
Thanks, Lauren. So when the Secretary of Agriculture issues a disaster declaration to help farmers recover from damages from losses to crops, SBA automatically activates its low-cost economic injury disaster loan, what we call the EIDL program, to provide working capital for small businesses affected by the same event. So eligible small businesses and nonprofits can borrow up to $2 million to meet their ordinary and necessary financial obligations until business activities return to normal. The interest rate is 4% for small businesses and 2.375% for nonprofit organizations with terms up to 30 years. So there's no monthly payment for 12 months and no accrued interest for 12 months from the date of the initial disbursement. And the working capital loans may be used to pay fixed debts, payroll, accounts payable, and other bills that could have been paid had the disaster not occurred. The loans are not intended to replace lost sales or profits and cannot be used to fund business expansion, debt consolidation, or purchase equipment. Businesses apply directly through SBA's website, www.sba.gov/disaster, and they need to enter their county name to see a list of open declarations that are listed by county. Currently, there's 81 out of 87 counties in Minnesota that are eligible for this drought declaration, and they pick the declaration that includes drought. Physical disaster loans are not available in this type of declaration, and SBA cannot assist until a business starts to apply for the loan. There's no obligation to accept the loan, but it is important to apply before the filing deadline, and there's no fee to apply either. And filing deadlines depend on those 13 current declarations, so they each have a different deadline. And again, you can go to sba.gov/disaster to find the deadline in your county. So I'd also like to close with two brief things. SBA resource partners and the State of Minnesota Small Business Development Center DEED, SCORE, and some of our women business centers across the state can assist businesses providing management assistance and also help them with their applications at no cost. So to find the nearest office, you can go to sba.gov. And then finally, we are going to be hosting a webinar with our disaster team this Friday, the 15th at 10 a.m. for any of our partners and small businesses who are interested in getting in-depth on the application. So thank you very much. I'd like to pass it on.
Yeah, thanks.
Good afternoon. Every November, as fall cleanups come to an end, Scott's Lawn Care is hoping for an average snowfall throughout the winter season. Unlike many of our peers in the snow removal industry, Scott's Lawn Care provides year-round employment for all of our staff. Yes, this is a heavy financial responsibility, but we think it's worth it to keep our best employees in the industry with us. Plus, snow is just right around the corner, right? Only this year, the snow has just not come. As I look back to when I started Scott's Lawn Care as a high school student in 1996, no winter has come close to being this scarce. Prior to this winter, the least amount of snow was back in 1998 when we provided only 6 full plow events. Most seasons bring easily over 10. During this unprecedented winter, Scott's Lawn Care has only provided 1 full plow event, which has led to a year-end 40% loss of revenue. And this has sadly forced us to lay off much of our staff. This winter drought has affected our entire industry. We've lost not only revenue, but great employees who have understandably moved on to other jobs and industries. But this funding can stop the bleeding. With this relief, Scott's Lawn Care and our industry peers could stop thinking about the need to lay off more good men and women and start getting them back to work. We are proudly Minnesotan. No matter what, all of us at Scott's Lawn Care will be pushing hard to provide for our customers and employees alike. We hope to do so with the support of our state's leadership. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thanks, Scott.
Hi, I'm Karen Weam. I'm a co-owner, a new business owner of Fin Sisu. We're a ski and sauna shop located in Lauderdale, Minnesota. I have two partners, one of whom is here, Nate. And yeah, we bought our business last summer thinking we'd have a great winter. We did not. We had ski sales were off probably by 2/3, and our revenues are off probably 50%. So it's been a tough winter. The business we usually have never showed up, and it's not only skis, it's the boots and the clothes and the wax service. You know, when the races are canceled, we're not selling race wax. People aren't breaking poles and buying replacements. So yeah, it's been a really tough year to be a new business owner in the ski space, and we're really grateful for this opportunity to get some help from the government, and we'll be looking into these loans. So thank you, Governor, and the SBA. Thank you. Governor.
Well, thank you. And the stories of Minnesotans, as we said, these disasters hit across businesses. Again, whether it's a tornado, drought, flooding, or in this case, lack of snow, making sure we're there. Thank you to the SBA of making those available. And as you heard, DEED is there to support SCORE, other nonprofits to help make this process easier. Again, they're loans. They are to be paid back, but they're the low-interest ones to create a bridge. Look, these are entrepreneurs. They know they take a risk, but as Minnesotans, I think Scott summed it up right. We let these businesses fall away, or we lose those great employees when we're going to need them again. It causes all kinds of issues. And again, for nonprofits like Lopet, we cannot lose this. This is a treasure out here, and people need it. So with that, we'd be glad to take any questions around the program.
Anything on topic? If I could just ask, has the SBA ever done this before in terms of for lack of snow or winter? I mean, and it
No.
sounds like your category is the drought, but has it ever happened before?
Correct. So businesses are applying under the 13 existing drought declarations, and so they have to make sure that they cite drought as one of the reasons impacting their business, or lack of precipitation. So since I've been here, this is unprecedented.
Any other states that you're offering this to?
Wisconsin and Michigan are currently we're on the same track with our neighbors in our Great Lakes region as well.
So did you do anything special or different to make it so people can apply for it because of winter issues?
Right now, this is the solution going forward, and what businesses can apply for today. So that this is currently the solution that is enabling businesses impacted by this, if they can connect it to drought and lack of precipitation.
Is it usually farmers who would?
Brian McDonald, MC.
That's good. And thank SBA. Look, they're being creative on this. You're exactly right. This is normally would be a drought situation where farmers or others that lack of being down. But I think what we're seeing now is the connection to climate change, and as Lauren says, the peripheral businesses that are hit by this. This is clearly because we didn't have moisture, but we didn't have that moisture in the form of snow and outdoor activities, and that's causing it. So I'm grateful to the administration when we spoke with them. We asked SBA to try and be creative on this. They did it. And talking, as you said, with the Governors Whitmer and Evers, this was a topic out in D.C. last week. And again, it was pretty catastrophic in the West, but you've seen, I got a daughter working around these outdoor activities in Montana. They've got a massive amount of snow over the last few weeks, but they hadn't before. So it's a creative solution. We're glad, and we're really encouraging folks, take advantage of this if it works for you. You heard some of the numbers around that, the 4%, the 2.5%, 2.3%, no payments for a year, no interest for a year. That might be the bridge you need to get to a real successful, knock on wood, season next year to make a difference on this. And you heard Scott say he'll use it to keep employees the same way, help keep inventory stay open.
So for Scott's Lawn Service, can I ask you a question quick? How much of your staff did you have to lay off, and how hard is it to get them to come back if they find other jobs?
Well, we went into this fall at 37 full-time year-round employees, and year to date, or winter to date, we've laid off 16 of them.
So nearly half.
Yeah, I think that's 45%.
Now, you do lawn care as well.
We do.
Are you hoping with this early spring, as evidenced by today, that you'll maybe be able to to make up some revenue, being able to do more lawn work and landscaping, that type of thing?
We're projecting and hoping for that. One concern is in a seasonal business like we are, both coming out of summer, going into winter, and coming out of winter, going into summer, it's a high capital expense getting ready for that next season. Bringing employees back, getting them trained in, having them on staff for when the soil temperatures are right, say going into the spring to start doing lawn care and landscaping. So funding like this would help us gear up and bring those laid off employees back to work.
Make sure I understood about your winter experience. You had one.
We had one full plow event this year out in the western suburbs.
How did that compare to last year's?
Last year we probably had easily low 20s full plow events, so that's where we're plowing and salting. We've had a few what we call nuisance events this year where we're just out doing some parking lot salting and sidewalk shoveling, but only one full plow event.
And the final thing, are most of your contracts, are they per event or are they?
We're both. So we do line them up both ways or offer them both ways, what we call both seasonal and per event. So winter like this does affect us because we're certainly not all what we would call like a seasonal agreement. So,
Scott, what's you're Scott?
I am.
What's your last name?
Hartman, Hartmann, 2 N's.
Somebody addressed the fact that you're planning, I think, the governor more and more. This is going to happen more and more. What kind of long-range planning is involved here for any businesses or for the government as well?
Yeah, and Scott can talk. They have to start thinking about this. I think one of the things, and many of you, the media here has heard me say this, I think one of the really smart things that the Minnesota legislature did a few years back was the disaster contingency account that put money into that, prepare for that. I think we're going to have to start looking at that definition around these lack of snow events as being included that. We've used it for heavy snow that collapsed dairy barns a few years ago, and I think, again, when we talk about climate events and climate change, it's going to be these catastrophic swings that we start to see. So I think one of the things we're starting to talk about is expansion of that disaster contingency account to include things like this that would be bridge gaps. In some of those cases, it was just small loans to replace the cattle herd that was lost or whatever it might be. So I think that's a way, and I think these folks just got to hope for snow, I think. And
do we have a handle on the entire economic damage here? Like, do we know how much?
No, and that's a good question. I think that's one we'll take back with Deed to get at it, because I think trying to calculate it, you hear from each of these businesses, and I'm interested. We'll get the numbers incoming. Lauren, you may know from your resorts and things if they're starting to talk how much.
We've seen anywhere from 15 to 75% loss from lodging and other businesses related to tourism through a very brief survey that we did last week. It's still open till the end of the day today, so we don't have all the data just yet. We'll also be releasing our business condition survey in the coming weeks for sort of the tail end of winter and into spring. So we'll know more then about what impacts we're seeing. But as far as the whole industry and kind of that, like I said, that trickle down effect, I think we'll probably have to do some more work to figure out exactly what that number is, but I would imagine it's quite significant.
We have can do one or two more on or off?
The deadlines are wide-ranging, but do we know when they can kind of start to have the 13 or so deadlines?
Yeah, so I'd be happy. We have kind of a summary sheet with all 13 and the various deadlines. Each one is distinct. So most of them, I think the earliest one is at the end of this month. So some of them do extend into June. So I can provide you that, Gordon.
Governor, can you comment on the SRO bill that's in front of the Senate right now, and it says it's in jeopardy right now?
Yeah, sure. Well, I hadn't heard that. So I think I would say this, that the issue around school resource officers, I express and still express gratitude for everybody working on this, holding two things at the same time, that we can keep our students safe in school and that the folks who do that job can do so knowing that there are rules around what they do, that they can be protected. I saw it passed, I think we lost 8 votes folks in the House. We have it over in the Senate. We're trying to get that wrapped up. I will mention I spoke with a school resource officer. Some of you are familiar with the instance that happened in Fridley on Friday. That school resource officer insisted and was back in the classroom, even though there were some that had not been there, breaking up a scuffle amongst students and was kicked in the head. That school resource officer expressed and wanted to make it clear and asked me to say this, that look, job is to be there to do that, but he also, his wife talks about, he also buys apples to take to hand out to the kids or whatever. I think what I would say on this is there's devils in the details on some of the legal aspects of this. The commitment from law enforcement, schools, parents, all of us, is to get them back in the classroom in a safe way. And so my goal is I think, and I'm still hopeful on this, and again, I haven't in the last half hour that we've been out here seen that. My hope is we get that thing through. I think they took a research. They're going through the committees. We'll get a chance tonight to see what they get it done. I'm still confident I'll get to sign that thing in the coming days. Really important and good work by everybody involved. Anything else on?
I guess the folks, any worries about a hangover from this year? You know, there's folks that probably would have started cross-country skiing for the first time. Are you worried that maybe they may not revisit that?
Yes. So, right. We think constantly about all the kids we didn't get out on skis this year, about sort of the momentum we saw after COVID, and, you know, that reached a lovely peak, but we are definitely concerned that in a year like this, when no one was exposed to it, they're not going to come back to it. But again, this goes back to us staying vital and strong and here for the community, and we believe we can outreach and get people back and believe in winter again.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Point of personal privilege on this. Congratulations to Tom finishing the Tokyo Marathon. Well done. So, yeah. Well done. So you can run out. Yeah, you're still walking. You can run here now.
Oh, one question just for you. Kirk Cousins is leaving, going to the NFL.
Is that out now? The last tweet I said this morning said it wasn't the case. Well, that's too bad.
$100 million guaranteed.
Well, I wish him the best on this. I think, Vikings near and dear to all of us, and I think Kirk had kind of endeared himself to Minnesotans. Wish him the best of luck, and for what it's worth, I think J.J. McCarthy is the pick for the Vikings on the draft. So let you know. That's free. I don't get paid for that. So just so you know. So thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody. I hadn't heard that. The breaking news while we're here.
Right when you were talking.